Hello everyone, welcome back to our video lecture series. And in the last session, we had seen how to get information from the drawing, like getting the coordinates by using the ID command, then getting the distance by using dist or dist command. Those things has been discussed in the last session. Today's session is dedicated for organizing your drawing by using layers. Layers is a very important concept in AutoCAD, which will help you in preparing your drawing in an organized manner. The term layers will be familiar to those who are already familiar with any of the graphical softwares, like any of the software which is used to prepare drawings or images. This layer concept will be familiar to you. But for others, this may not be that much familiar. But you might have heard this term layer, like keeping something layer by layer. And in fact, nowadays we are talking about mask, wearing mask. And in mask itself, we will be having 2-layer mask, 3-layer mask, wherein we say these numbers or these layers represents the number of cloth or certain material which will be kept in the mask. So this is something similar to that, or you can consider this as what the word meaning actually says. So we have this functionality in AutoCAD, or we have AutoCAD has got a specific facility called layers, which will help you in organizing your drawing in a proper manner. For the time being, you can consider these layers as transparent sheets on which we will be making some drawing, right? So if you make drawings in different transparent sheets, and if you keep one above the other as layers, then you'll get the ultimate drawing. So the concept is something as simple as like what I have mentioned. We'll see a small example to understand the concept of layer. So here I have drawn a small house or a hut, although this is not a technical drawing. I just want to make you understand the concept of layers. So here, if you look into this drawing, we have different types of entities here. See, we have walls here, and we have roof here, and we have doors here, and we have windows here, right? So if at all I want to draw all these things in separate sheets, in separate transparent sheets, and if I keep those one above the other, then if I see it from the top, I can see the drawing completely. So this is the concept behind layers here. See, if you have a very large drawing, then if you draw everything in a single layer, then it will look like the whole thing will be like clustered, or it will be clumsy. So it will be very difficult for you to locate a point or get some object on that one. So in those cases, you can think of creating different layers so that your drawing can be organized. Okay. Now let us see here, as far as this drawing is concerned, I'm preparing 4 different layers. My first layer, or layer 0, which is for walls. So I'll be drawing only all the walls in this particular layer. Then in the next layer, I'll be drawing only the roof in the appropriate position. Then in layer 2, I'll be drawing only doors, and in layer 3, I'll be drawing all the windows. Now if I keep all these layers one above the other, see, layer 3 here above that layer 2 above that layer 1, or layer 0, you can keep vice versa also. So, and if you keep all these things together, then you can see that this is layer 0, above that layer 1 comes, then layer 2 comes, layer 3 comes, so which forms the complete drawing. And now suppose if you don't want windows for the time being, so that you want to draw some other item on the wall, then the window may be obstructing you while drawing that, or you want to do some other things on the wall, then basically you can keep that layer off, or we can just remove the transparent. It is something similar to removing the transparent layer for the time being. Then later we can incorporate it when you complete all this work. So this is the concept behind layer. So now we'll go to AutoCAD environment and see how we can create and organize, create layers and organize the drawing in a proper way. Okay. Depending upon the type of drawing you are going to prepare, you can think what layers I want in my drawing. For example, like something that we have seen earlier, if you want to prepare a residential building or a house or some building for that matter, then you can think all the walls in one layer, all the doors in one layer, all the windows in one layer, then all the furniture in one layer. So something similar to that. Another example, like if you want to plot our campus, if you want to draw our campus, you can consider all the academic buildings in one layer, all the residential buildings in one layer, maybe all the workshops in one layer, then all water sources in one layer, or even if you want the contour lines of our campus, then contour lines can be drawn in one layer. So you can think it in a different way, like how the one which suits best to your drawing, that can be in that line you can think and you can create layers, right? So I have opened an AutoCAD drawing which we have prepared as a part of our drawing exercises, the last one in that series. And if you see the drawing here, I mean, when we had prepared the drawing earlier, I haven't drawn any center lines. You can see center lines here. I haven't drawn any center lines at that time. Similarly, no hidden lines were drawn, but I incorporated all those things in this drawing so that I can show how I can create layers and move these to certain layers. So here, I mean, what I'm trying to do is, I want to draw all the center lines in one layer, all the hidden lines in one layer, and all the solid lines in another layer. So this is what I'm and most of the mechanical drawing, like if you do, if you can organize your drawing in that manner, that will be easy. Like suppose if you want to take a printout without all the center lines, without all the hidden lines, then you can just make that layer or you remove that layer. I'll show you how you can do that in AutoCAD later. So like that you can do whatever manipulation, whatever adjustments what you want to do. And in certain cases you can see that if all the layers, all the entities are present in the drawing, if your drawing is big, then basically it will be difficult for you to pick a particular point from the drawing. When you make an point of the snap, it will be snapping to a different point, so you will not be picking the right point. We'll have to zoom it or do some other exercise to pick the proper point. So it may take some time. So in order to reduce the time for preparing our drawing, you can utilize this very effectively. Okay, so now we'll see what this from where we can change the layers and what are the different states of layers and what are the other things associated with layers, or how we can organize the layers. So one thing which I would like to recommend to you is, like, at the time of preparing a drawing or at the time of starting preparing a drawing, we had discussed about certain settings what we need to do. I do recommend that if you can consider the number of layers you want and then types of layers you want and the names of the layers you want, it's always better to prepare that at the time of starting. I do recommend that once you think about your drawing, once you identify the settings what you need to do, you also think about the layers what you want to create in your drawing, and you can create those layers initially so that you don't have to create later when you are drawing them. And there is nothing wrong right now in creating the layers while we are drawing something, or even after drawing something. I mean, I can create the layers and do. That is what I'm going to do right now. I have incorporated all my center lines and dotted lines here, but now I thought I'll have more layers in my drawing. So I'm going to make more layers here and then move the items which I have already drawn to those layers. You can do vice versa also. You can create the layers first, then draw the items in that particular layer. Okay. So that is an introduction about layers. See, if you see this particular portion here, you can see layers here, and there are a lot of icons here, small buttons here, which are for changing certain details related to layer, or for various purposes, various actions related to layers. Okay, so if you click this one, right, if you click here, then you'll be getting a dialog box wherein all the details related to layers are given, or it is actually the layer property dialog box. And the top here you can see a drop down list, and here whatever it is written here or shown here is the current layer. Current layer means the layer on which you are going to draw right now. So if I draw something here, it will be included in the current layer. And if you click this drop down list, suppose if your drawing has got more than one layer, or whatever layers which will be present in your drawing, that will be displayed here. At present we have only one layer, and that layer is displayed here. Okay, now I'll go to the layer properties, and from there I'll create new layers, and I'll explain the details there. Okay, so if I click layer properties button, I'll be getting a dialog box, or a box, a window like this. I would like to call this as a window rather than a box. I'll be getting a window like this, where all details about your layer will be present. All details about all the layers in your drawing will be. So here you can see at present there is only one layer in our drawing, and that is named as 0. 0 is the default layer of a drawing, right? You cannot change the name of 0 layer. 0 will be the starting layer. When you start an AutoCAD drawing, there will be only one layer, and that is named as 0. Okay. Now, if you want to create new layer, you can click here, right? This is for creating new layer. When you click here, it will create a new layer, right? You can see, and this, so that you will be understanding all things. Okay. So when I click here, automatically a new layer has been created, and it is named as layer 1. Suppose if you want the name in some other way, you can just click here and rename that one. If I click here, I'll make it as, say, I want it as center line, so I'll type CEN_LINES, center line. So I've created a new layer and named it as center line. And if you see the other details here, the first three things, you can see something like on here, then freeze here, then lock, float, color, and all those things. So the first three things, that is on, freeze, lock, defines the different states of our layer, or the layer here. At present you can see that the center line layer, it is on, it is not freezed. In fact, it is not locked, it is open, you can see. And also there are certain properties associated with a layer, so certain object properties or certain entity properties associated with the layer. You can give a color to a layer, so that all the entities which will be drawn in that particular layer can acquire that color, although you can change that one, but it is not compulsory that it should take that one, but you can make it. I mean, that will be clear to you when we complete this discussion. Also, line type and line weight, these are two other important properties which are associated with a particular line. We will come back to these properties later. And also we look into these different states of layers also, and before that, when we'll just see what this current layer is, and how we can draw some entities in a particular layer, and how we can move some entity to a particular layer, and after that we'll come back to this window again. Okay. And one more thing, when you create a new layer, the properties of the new layer, or the state of the new layer, will correspond to the layer which was selected before creating that layer. Like now the current layer, suppose if I click, if I select this center lines, and now if I click create a new layer, then all the properties of the center line will be copied, right? But if I select 0 and then click this new layer, then properties of the 0 layer will be acquired for the new layer, right? So it is always better to select the layer which almost matches your current layer, so that you don't have to change too many things. Okay, so this is about creating a layer. And also the last button here, this is for making a layer current. When I mean making a layer current, whatever entities you are drawing, that will be drawn in the current layer. Okay, I'll go back to the drawing. I'm just closing this. Now I have two layers as far as this drawing is concerned. So if you click here, you can see that there are two layers, 0 and center line. Right? The center line is the line, center line is the layer which we have created just now. And the layer which is shown here, this is called as current layer. So whatever entities which I draw here, this will be in the current layer. Okay, so these entities will be in 0th layer. Suppose if I want to draw something in center line, or in the layer center line, then I can make this as current by just going here and clicking this one, right, or selecting it from the drop down list here. Okay, now if I draw something, this will be in center line. See how you can see in which layer a particular object is. When select this object, you can see the layer which is displayed here is 0. Again, I am going to pick another one. You can see it is 0. Now what happens if I pick this one? Now you can see nothing is displayed here because we have entities which is in more than one layer, so it is not possible to show. So otherwise, like now see, if I pick this one, again you can see that is 0 here. If I pick this, you can see it is center line here. So like this you can identify in which layer that particular object is. And suppose, and if you want to move some object to some other layer, suppose this is in 0 as we know, but I want to move that to the center line layer. So you can just select that, then from here you can pick the layer which you want to move. Okay, just press escape. Now see, this is in 0, right, but this is in center lines. Center line. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll make the current layer 0, right. Now we'll just select this. See, it is center lines because I moved this object to the center lines layer. So it is very simple, like, you know, to move from one layer to another. It is very easy. You can just select the object which you want to move, and from the pull down menu you can select the appropriate layer which you want. So that is very simple. So I don't want these elements. I am just deleting. So here also now the center lines which I have drawn here, I want to make it to the center line. So I'll pick the center lines, all the center lines which I want. Center line. Okay, I'm just picking this one. So all these entities which I have picked has made to, or it is moved to center line. So to make sure, just select this one. You can see that is changed to center line. So now I have entities in both my layers. That is, I have the main drawing in 0 layer and all the center lines in the layer named as CEN underscore lines or center lines. Okay. So this is how you can create a layer and draw something in the current layer or move something from one layer to another. Now how to make a layer visible or off, or what are the different states of layer? We'll see. When you can see 3 icons here before layer, a bulb, a sun, and a lock symbol here. I'll open this dialog box again. So here the first one, the bulb, actually this represents whether the state is on or off, right. I'll come back to that. The second one represents whether it is freeze or thawed. Freeze means whether the layer is frozen or whether it is thawed in the normal state. And the last one is whether it is locked or unlocked, right. Now the first two things are almost similar. Like on has got the opposite condition, that is off. Just a minute. Okay, so we were discussing about the different states of a layer. So we've seen that on off is one condition and freeze thaw is another condition, and these two conditions are almost similar, although there is a slight difference in between. So they will discuss. If a layer is on, it will be visible in the screen, and if a layer is off, it will not be visible on the screen, right? Similarly, if a layer is freezed, then that is not visible in the screen, right? If it is thawed, that will be visible. Okay, I'll show that here. So we have zero layer and we have center line, and all the layers are on right now. All the layers are not freezed right now, and when we haven't discussed about lock, but all the layers are not locked here, right? Now I'm going to make this center line layer off, right? You can see that the center lines are missing here. So that is not displayed. So whenever I make a layer off, the entities in that particular layer will not be displayed in the screen, right? So you cannot edit that one, or you cannot delete that one, or you cannot do any alteration to that one. I'll make it on. Again, I will freeze it. So this is for freezing. And so when I freeze also, you can see that it is not seen, right? Then you might have a question, then why we have two things like on, off, and freeze and thaw. So there is some difference between these two that is related to regenerating the drawing. There are two comments related to display. There is redraw and regen. Regen is regenerating the drawing, the other one is redraw, R-E-D-R-A-W and R-E-G-E-N, regen. So this actually refreshes our drawing, right? So in regen is a much time taking one, that it generates all the details related to our drawing, whereas redraw simply recalculates the minimum basic things and refreshes our display. So that is about, that's about regen and redraw. For the time being, you can understand this particular manner, and you can see that if you are having a larger drawing, then this regeneration may take much more time, right? So if you freeze something, then those elements in that freezed layer will not be regenerated, so that you can see the things in a faster way, and then you can reduce the time it is used for regenerating. So if your drawing is big, large, very large one, and if you have too many entities in that one, and if you do all those calculations, then it will be better you can if you use freeze thaw instead of on off, right? But normally our drawing, what we are preparing, will be of smaller size, so on off is sufficient for us, and we cannot see any major difference, or we cannot distinguish between what is happening when we have this on off and freeze thaw. So that is about on off and freeze thaw. And the other option is lock or unlock. If you lock a particular layer, that will be visible in your screen, or all the entities in that lock layer will be visible, but you cannot edit that one, right? I lock and see, this is lock button, see. When I lock, you can see that all the center lines are shown, or grayed, I can say, like now it is slightly dimmed. You cannot see it as bright as the other lines. And now if I try and select this one, it is selected, but if I try deleting that one, you can see that one was in locked layer. That is, whatever is there in the locked layer, you cannot edit that one, but you can select that one, you can snap to that one. Suppose if I want to draw a line from the endpoint of this one, you can snap to those endpoints, right? Endpoint or midpoint of this line, all those things, all snapping and everything can be done. So it will be displayed in your drawing, but you cannot edit that one. So once you complete all the drawings in one particular layer, and if you don't want to disturb that particular layer, but you want to use that layer for some other purpose, like for snapping some points and all those things, you can use this lock option. So these are the three different possible states, states, in fact, like now all the states has got two states. In fact, for on, we have on or off. If it is on, it is displayed. If it is off, it is not displayed. Then we have freeze top, which is something similar to on and off, which I have already discussed. And if you have locked and unlocked, in both the cases it will be displaced, but if it is locked, you cannot edit that layer. So that is about the different layers as far as different states of the layers, right? So, okay, let me pause for a moment. Okay, hope you understood layers concept and the different states of layers. And also, like, you can give different names for your layers, which I already mentioned, and how to change the names of the layers. What yes, we have already seen that one. And other properties which can be associated with a layer are color, line type, and line weight, which I'll discuss in a separate session after this. Although I thought of including those things in the same session, we'll split this into two. We'll discuss about those later. And before concluding this session, I would like to go the other options also. Suppose if you want to delete a particular layer, then you can just use this option here. So you select the layer you want to delete, and you can click this one and to delete a particular layer. But please note a couple of important points about layers. That is, if you have drawn something in on a layer, you cannot delete that one. I'll show you that, because I have something in my center line layer here. So if I try to delete this one, AutoCAD will give some warning. See, the selected layer was not deleted, and the following layers cannot be deleted. That layer 0, and there is another layer which is called as def points. And this def points is a layer which will be created when we dimension something. I'll discuss that when we learn how to dimension a particular drawing, which will be done after one or two videos. And also, you cannot delete current layer. If a layer is current layer, you cannot delete that one. And the layers which has got certain elements in that one, that also cannot be deleted. Then this is XRF, which we are not familiar right now. Which you are not familiar, so forget about that one. So if a layer is current layer, you cannot delete. If a layer contains some objects, you cannot delete. So if you want to delete a particular layer, then make sure that it is not the current layer, and also make sure that there is no element in that particular layer, right? You move all the elements to some other layer, then you try deleting that one, that will be deleted. So these are some of the important aspects as far as layers are concerned. So if you want to draw something in a layer, you make that layer current, then draw in that one. Alternatively, you can draw it in some other layer, then later move to this one. But the better option is to make that layer current and draw it in. So I think you understand the basic concepts about layer, how to create layer, how to create objects in a layer, how to change an object from one layer to another, then how to delete a layer. And also we have few important properties associated with these entities, which can be described in terms of layers. Right? Maybe a little bit confusing right now. I will make it clear in the next video session. So thanks for watching. We'll meet again for discussing other things, maybe in a very short span of time. Okay, thank you. All the best.